Every time the pressure rises, we play better. Let's go take down the champ.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Brute Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.
This game is brought to you by Spin Ultimate, proud to sponsor Ultiworld's 2020 college coverage. Visit Spin Ultimate on the web at spinultimate.com.
Hello and welcome to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for the Eastern's 2015 final between Pittsburgh and UNC Wilmington. This is Ultiworld's live coverage here from Myrtle Beach. We're so excited to be here with you. I'm Charlie Eisenhood alongside Cody Johnston. And we're ready for this fantastic finals matchup. Pittsburgh in the dark blues pulling to UNC in the white with green trim to get this game started. And we'll talk all about this matchup and the history between these two teams over the past couple of seasons. Fantastic stuff as we get things going. First, let's watch this first offensive possession from UNC Wilmington. Some contact here on the mark. Matt Mason trying to throw around Sam Van Dusen. And some question about what was going on there, but it certainly seemed like there was some contact since that throw went basically sideways. So it will be foul, and we'll stay here with Wilmington. Cale Ward comes back to get it. Ward has been a standout for this Wilmington team this weekend and this season as a pick is called. This is going to come back here. Hancock having to send it back. Covered by Trent Dillon right now. That'll be a matchup to watch.
A lot of fun matchups to watch across the field. We also see Tyler Kunza matched up on Xavier Maxtat. I think that's going to be a really great fight over the course of this game.
Mason holding. He'll dish it back to Hancock. Gets it to Maxtat. Covered by Kunza. Maxtat around backhand to Austin McGrain for the UNC Wilmington score. And they will start with a hold on offense as they score the first point of this contest. But now it looks like there's a call on the field.
Looks like Thorne may be calling a push off there on the UNC cutter. I was curious to see that much separation.
So take the score off the board here. And disc will go back to Maxtat. Check back into play by Tyler Kunza. Xavier Maxtat. Looking upfield, not there. Now he'll throw the flick towards the back of the end. This is hanging up anybody's disc. It tips in and out of the hands of a UNCW receiver. So nice pressure back there from Max Thorne and Pat Earls. And Pittsburgh will get the disc here. So a pivotal call there on the push off out of the stack. Taking a point away from Wilmington. So Tyler Kunza will check it in for Pittsburgh as they look to get things started with a break. Trent Dillon on the sideline, gets it ahead to Kunza. Kunza now shooting deep, but it's an easy block for Xavier Maxtat. Luke Hancock out to the far side for Kevin Mateer. Back to Hancock. Xavier Maxtat with it, finds McGrain. Pick call here as Mason comes underneath for the catch. Looks like it's going to stay with Mason, but Sam Van Dusen will pick up the distance here. Mason throws out to Maxstad on the far sideline. And up the sideline and into the end zone goes Mason. So Wilmington holds after the turnover. That's how this game gets started.
Wilmington coming out with a ton of energy, and it's great to see Maxstad and Hancock coming out and being really engaged early on. I think late in that game against Wilmington, they were, they had some miscues, they threw in a few poaches, but there they were able to break the mark efficiently and really drive this offense.
Yeah, I mean, just 30 minutes ago, this offense was giving up breaks to Oregon and looking very flat, but I mean, you see a total difference in the team mentality coming out of the gate here against Pittsburgh. And I think that's partly because of the history between these teams. Why don't you take us through some of the things that we've seen between these two teams and some of the rivalry matchups they've had over the past 2 years in college?
So the biggest storyline, of course, last year at Nationals, Wilmington beating Pittsburgh on Universe Point. Pittsburgh, no breaks in the game. UNC Wilmington broke to beat Pittsburgh. And Wilmington, 2 years ago in 2013, matched up in pool play. They used that roller pull strategy, and Pittsburgh was visibly frustrated. Wilmington took half 8-7, and then Pittsburgh stormed back to win, I think, 15-9, and that's really what propelled Pitt to one of those first national championships.
So it was a chippy first half in that game, and a little bit of a scuffle between some of the UNCW and Pitt players. And indeed, it gave them the spark they needed to win a title. And then, of course, last year, UNCW knocked Pitt out in the quarterfinals in a shock upset as Wilmington made the semifinals. So this is the first time those teams have met in a meaningful late regular season game. They did play earlier this year at Carolina kickoff as we watched Pittsburgh marching it up the field. But a lot more on the line here. Not just an Eastern's victory, but probably the 1 seed at Nationals. This comes out to this near sideline for Andrew Lemberg. Standout freshman on this Pittsburgh team, and a low throw from Tyler Kunze to Pat Earls is dropped. So Wilmington's going to have a chance to break. They immediately attack down the field. Wilkin Handaway alone in the end zone for the score. And what a shot down the field from Jake Gallagher into the hands of Handaway. And it's 2-0 Wilmington.
Pittsburgh coming out a little bit sluggish, They had that bye after beating FSU in the first semifinals. 2 hours can be a long time, both mentally and physically. UNC Wilmington looking like the fresher team, even though they went down to the wire against Oregon.
Can be beneficial to play and then play again, as opposed to having to sit and then warm up over a second time on the day. So Wilmington with the good start here. They went down 2-0 to Oregon to start the semifinals. So a reversal of fortunes here in the final.
And for Pittsburgh going forward, I think some of the keys for them are going to be don't try to do too much. They have a lot of star power. They don't need to force any crazy throws, and they should really take what's given. I think over the course of this game, Wilmington's defense you're going to see a little bit of fatigue. And in addition, their D-line conversion rate needs to go up. They like to stack those D-lines to put up those kill lines, but their D-line conversion against Florida State wasn't very good.
Yeah, the D-line offense has struggled. Max Thorne on the near side. He's going to take a deep shot. He's looking for Christian Pitts, and Pitts goes up and he gets it. Christian Pitts continues to have a fantastic weekend for Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh gets on the board with the Thorne to Pitts connection that's been there pretty much all day today.
And that's a connection that's really hard to stop. I think Wilmington's going to want to throw more of a straight-up mark on Max Thorne. Thorne in the semifinals, 7 assists, 4 goals, coming off a great performance, and we expect more of the same from him in this game.
So we'll get our next look at this Pittsburgh defensive line. They went with a very stacked D-line to open the game, but now they're going to more of their standard defense. Guys like Carl Morgenstern, Jonah Wish, Sam Van Dusen, and then Trent Dillon and Marcus Reyni Dropcho really anchoring the offense after the turn.
And this is a big test for this Wilmington O-line. Can they play more consistently? Can they clean up the mental miscues and really play a complete game? Because I don't think we've seen that out of their offensive line.
Certainly not. I mean, the thing that's kept Wilmington going so far this weekend is just defensive tenacity and the ability to just grit out games. They had to come back from behind 2 late in the Oregon game. They're on 13-11. They ended up winning by 2. So it shows you just how well their defense played down the stretch. Nice pull from Pittsburgh has Wilmington pinned deep, and Xavier Maxtad's going to have to put a big shot up down the field and a huge bid down at the other end here from Jack Williams, but he's unable to pull it in. So Pittsburgh's going to have a chance to break here. And another high stall situation, so Trent Dillon has to put it up. This is going to float up there, and it's knocked away by Xavier Maxtad. Maxtad picks up, swings to Hancock. Hancock, pretty throw to the outside here for Mateer. Mason. To Hancock. Oh, and Hancock's throw floats up high. Trent Dillon unable to make the play on it as Williams goes up top. And then he goes into the end zone for Cale Ward. And Ward beats Dillon best down in the far end zone to make it 3-1.
More frustration from this Pitt D-line. You saw after that incredible Williams bid, not able to get it, Trent Dillon rushing to the disc, wanting to play quickly, and I like that move, but it really looked like most of the Pittsburgh cutters were too far downfield, and then he got stranded and had to put up that floaty huck.
So both teams bringing some fire into this matchup. And I talked to Pitt assistant coach David Hogan on an interview that we posted on UltiWorld on Friday, and we talked about maybe getting to this matchup with UNC Wilmington. I asked, do you want to face them and get that revenge? And they said, he told me, we're not about revenge this year. We're just about playing our game. Revenge was a thing we were trying to do last year when we came to nationals, and we had lost to every team in our pool at one point during the season. And they were even online on Twitter talking about #revenge tour. So but they said that's not something we're doing this year. But you have to wonder deep down, they've got to be looking to get back at this Wilmington team after that loss at nationals last year. Pittsburgh offense back to work here. Tyler Kuntza gets the centering pass and gets it out to Max Thorne, something they love to do. Get Thorne involved right away as the first initiating cutter. Up the sideline, and a lefty flick from Pat Earls right up the line into the hands of Christian Pitts, who gets his second goal of the game.
Really creative set play there from Pittsburgh, coming out in a vertical stack and then running Thorne to one side, Earls to the other. All 3 of the other cutters backing up, letting those guys work for a full 10 seconds. Those 2 guys are really hard to stop in that much space. And one player we haven't said a lot about today is Marcus Reyni Dropcho. Last year, he was by far, I think, the player of the tournament, coming in and really making a case for one of the best players in the nation. What do you think has changed since then?
Well, I think taking some time off and not playing in the fall, taking a long time to make his decision to come back for a 5th year with this Pittsburgh team, may have taken a little bit out of his fitness, and it's sort of taken him some time to get back, but he's also just been inconsistent. He'll have a great game, and even his coaching staff's talked about it. He's had some great games this weekend, but then he's also played somewhat poorly. He had a bad turnover last game and a critical spot, and just wasn't really an all-around effective player in the semifinals against Florida State. But they're looking to him to play well in this game because they think that he can really shut down Jack Williams, who's been so effective and was amazing in the semifinals just an hour ago against Oregon. So they want to see him step up and take on that matchup. And they're going to need him to play well down the stretch, not only here, but at nationals if they want to continue to succeed. Big backhand from Luke Hancock, but look at the speed out there from Max Thorne, and it's just no question. Max Thorne knocks it down easily. Matt Mason never had a chance at that disc, so. Again, you see the sometimes questionable decision-making from this UNC Wilmington team leading to turnovers. Thorne checks it in. But it's knocked away immediately. It's Cale Ward getting a block. Nice defense against Renai Dropcho. And then the hammer fake leads to the easy around for Hancock as he hits McGrain in the cone. And Wilmington back up by 2.
Beautiful space throw from Hancock, showing a lot of trust for his receiver just to put it out there in the space. And Pittsburgh's D-line, they have players out there. They have Thorne out there, they have Dillon, they have Dropcho, but they still haven't even been able to complete a pass on the D-line.
And it's been a point of concern, absolutely, for the defensive coach, David Hogan. Feels good about the way the team has been playing defense, but has been very concerned with the D-line's offense.
And sometimes with a team like Wilmington's O-line where they turn it over so often, those O-lines get really good at playing defense just by the nature of how they play on offense.
And that's been a story for Wilmington. That's how they won Centex. They simply played great defense after the turnover on their O-line, and that combined with the fact that their defense was getting them 4 or 5 breaks at least every game meant that they were winning games by sizable margins a lot of the time. Floats down into the hands of Pat Earls. Earls steps up into a big flick huck. Max Thorne goes up too early, and it's knocked away by UNC Wilmington. So nice defense down there from Jake Gallagher, who went up and kind of forced Thorne to try to make a play early. And as good as Thorne is, that's just not going to be a favorable matchup for him with 2 defenders on him, including one guy who's got about 6 inches of a height advantage. But UNC Wilmington gives it right back as the throw tips out of the hands of Danny Mercer, and Andrew Lemberg is able to take it away, and now Pat Earls floats a perfect throw to Max Thorne, cutting to the cone. And Pittsburgh stays right there with Wilmington. It's 4-3.
Last game, this UNC Wilmington D-line offense showed us a lot of versatility, running the handler dominator, running a zipper play, running some flood clearing plays. If they can continue to get turns, I think they're going to keep converting at a really high rate, and it'll be interesting to see how Pitt's O-line adjusts if they turn it over.
Both of these teams come into this tournament as the hottest teams in the country. Pittsburgh has won the Stanford Invite. They won warm-up back in February in Florida. And although they didn't win at the Carolina kickoff, that was so long ago that I don't know that it means all that much. I mean, that they got a win over UNC Wilmington, but Pitt coach Nick Kasmerick said that win doesn't mean all that much. We didn't see the actual UNC Wilmington team. It was too early in the year. And on the flip side, UNC Wilmington coming into this tournament, they've also won a bunch this season. They won Queen City Tune-Up. They won their host tournament, Eastern's qualifier, and then they won Centex. So although Oregon sort of came into this tournament nominally as the number 2 team in the country, with Wilmington getting the win over Oregon in the semifinals, I think it's safe to say we're looking at the top 2 teams in the country right now facing off in this finals. Xavier Maxtat with it Carl Morgenstern on the mark. Gets a nice throw out into space for Cale Ward. Ward takes a shot deep, and it's just all alone, Jack Williams. And Rainai Dropcho beat deep there by Williams by about 3 steps. And it's a quick and easy score for UNCW.
Ward playing consistent across the entire weekend, matching up on Bobby Lay in pool play, playing some big minutes in the semifinal, and here, you know, playing both sides of the disc, getting that D earlier last point, and then there throwing a really nice flick huck out into the space.
Yeah, we've seen him really effective as a cutter and scoring a lot of goals. We haven't seen a whole lot of that from him, but that's a picture-perfect huck up the sideline to a wide-open receiver. UNC Wilmington has won 29 straight games coming into this one. And the mark is similar for Florida, for Pittsburgh. Each team with 3 tournament titles, looking for their 4th. Signature Wilmington cheer firing up in the background as Charlie Leon puts up the pull that lands in the hands of Tyler Kutza. Max Thorne looking to get rid of it and has to fire a tough inside flick, and it's knocked down by a laying out Charlie Leon, who intercepts it. It's great reset defense from Wilmington, creating that turnover. UNCW looking to extend their lead here against Pitt. Willie Stewart swings it out to the sideline for Leon. And Leon stepping up into that forehand, and he gets bumped on the mark by Tyler Kunza. And Leon perhaps asking for a TMF.
Looks like Kunza also talking about some contact, saying that Leon pushed off with his elbow to create that separation.
So the 2 players talking it out with the observer. And the head observer here, Mitch Dengler, who you see at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, just surpassed his 500th observed game of Ultimate. One of the very top observers in the country, as we see the huge hammer from Charlie Leon. Oh, and it gets dropped by Jake Gallagher. A perfect throw from Leon, but it gets back into the hands of Pittsburgh here off the Gallagher drop. Kunza. Inside break. And throw going to come back here.
And we're starting to feel it now, Charlie. The wind's starting to pick up, forcing that Tyler Kunza throw into the ground. Looks like the foul call is upheld, though, by observer Mitch Dangler.
Kunza fakes the flick, now goes to it. Lemberg, nice strike cut. Lemberg puts a throw up, looking for Pat Earls, floats up, and it's falls harmlessly to the turf as 4 Wilmington defenders swarm it. Leon picks it up and rips a backhand. Oh, and great defense down in the far end from Saul Graves, who had to race down there to get into a position to make the play and then find the disc.
Great hustle play there from him.
Kunza. Joe Bender with it here on the sideline. Bender up ahead to Kunza. Now with Earls. Dished back to Kunza. Andrew Lemberg. Stoppage.
Again, nice handler switches from the Wilmington D-line. And they are forcing flick, but when you see the disc moving to this near sideline, they're going really straight up in the mark, especially on Max Thorne, taking away any of those downfield flick hucks that Pitt loves.
Lemberg finds Thorne. Thorne with a nice cross-field throw to Kunze, now in the hands of Graves. Dishes right back to Kunze. Two-man game on the far side, nearly blocked. Wilkin Hanaway almost got a piece. Kunze able to hang on. Kunze looking into the end zone, and Max Thorne able to beat Jason Alexander to the cone. And that's his second goal of the game, as Pittsburgh holds after a pressure-filled point on offense.
Pitt holds, but their offense really hasn't looked the same efficiency-wise as we've seen it before. You know, Wilmington defense really have an effect early on. I think their man defense might be the best we've seen at this tournament.
We saw it yesterday. We thought the same thing. And although it was sometimes a little bit flat earlier today, I think you're seeing that energy against this matchup. And we've talked about it. UNC Wilmington really does play to their competition a little bit. When they have maybe a lesser opponent, they don't play as well. And I think you see that reflected in the results. You know, they get a double game point win over Georgia. And then they get a 2-point win over Oregon, and they're up 5-4 here and up a break on Pittsburgh. So, you know, obviously a lot of close games, and that's been that way all season for Wilmington. And I think that may be a sign of how they scale their play depending on their opponent.
What does it mean to be powered by Savage? It means we become part of your team. From the moment you're paired with one of our sales reps who will guide you through the ordering process, to working with a designated member of our design team to bring your vision to life. Every step of the production process happens in-house, from printing your gear on our Green Line fabric made from 100% recycled plastic bottles, to cutting out every piece and carefully stitching it together by hand. Wherever you are, however you play, we've got your back. That's what it means to be powered by Savage.
Pull is up here from Pittsburgh. Beautiful pull. Lands near the back of the end zone with Maxstat. He gets it ahead to Ward. Ward with a bit of a dangerous pass to Maxstat, but he collects it. And now he puts up a big flick. This is going to be challenged by two defenders on a great catch from Matt Mason. Sandwich between two Pitt players. Williams gets it to Mason and not into the end zone. Mason fires right up the gut. And into the hands of Grayson Sanner for the score.
Great team defense there by Pitt, swarming, you know, three defenders around that, but Mason able to hold position and grab that disc. That's got to be frustrating for this Pittsburgh D-line, still kind of looking for answers. And really interesting matchup choice, Carl Morgenstern taking on Xavier Maxstat. Morgenstern's a great handler defender, but he definitely gives up a few inches to Maxstat. So over the course of the game, we've seen Maxstat extend downfield, and he might do that later on.
Pitt coach David Hogan told me before the game that normally they've been rotating their handler defenders onto other teams' handlers, but they don't feel that they're going to be able to do that effectively in this game because Maxstat and Hancock are just too good, and that their third and fourth guys, handler covers, just aren't going to be able to match up. So we've seen Morgenstern take on both Maxstat and Hancock so far in this game, and it'll be interesting to see how those matchups evolve over the course of the game. And if maybe we see Trent Dillon try to take on that Maxstat matchup at some point. Charlie Leon getting set to pull. It's a strong pull, but it's going to trail out the back left corner of the end zone.
And pulls are really a big thing that make it different, especially in the college game. Something that's underrated. You know, we've seen Sam Van Dusen's pull for this Pitt D-line, consistently pinning teams' offenses in the back of their end zone, forcing them to work, 80 yards and forcing a lot of pressure early on in D points.
Pat Earls gets things started for the Pitt offense. Hits Thorne. Good reset defense here from Wilmington. It's made things challenging for Pittsburgh. Tyler Kuntza dishes it off to Reyna Dropcho, swings it over to Thorne. Thorne back to Reyna Dropcho, and a pick call.
And I'm not sure Pittsburgh's O-line has seen reset defense this good this tournament.
Reyna Dropcho goes up line, gets the throw from Thorne. Max Thorne, Reyna Dropcho working a two-man game. Reyna Dropcho right at the cone, but not into the end zone. Reyna Dropcho has a wide open player, but there's been a pick call. Saul Graves able to get there, and the pick call overruled. And Wilkin Hanaway, the player called the pick, upset with the observers.
And I think rightfully so. It did look like Graves kind of ran through the center of the stack, and maybe, it did look like a pick from this angle, but observers overrule it and hold for Pittsburgh.
You notice some interesting things defensively there. At one point, when the disc was over on the far side of the field with Marcus Reyna Dropcho, Leon on the mark turns around and stops looking at Marcus Reyna Dropcho in order to see what's happening downfield and maybe try to cut off that angle. Now, it didn't end up leading to anything, but those are the kinds of unconventional methods that you see from UNC Wilmington's defense as they try to shut down those throwing lanes. They've been effective with their reset defense here early. We'll see what they do as they continue to make adjustments throughout this game.
And I was really impressed earlier in that point. UNC Wilmington number 22 Carl Maitzig playing really great handler defense on Tyler Kuntza, who's one of those experienced fifth-year players for this Pitt team, really shutting down and forcing him to go upfield.
One thing, a lot of teams that go up against this Pittsburgh team seem to play a little bit tentative or even a little bit scared at times. And that's one thing that this UNC Wilmington team never does. They do not cower against Pitt at all. And they want to go out there and go toe-to-toe with the number one team. Xavier Maxtat bringing it to the brick mark. Kuntza on the mark. Hancock and Maxtat working it back and forth together. Hancock turns and rips a backhand down the field, and it bounces in and out of the hands of Matt Mason. But a foul call back at the spot of the throw, and I think we heard the contact all the way from here.
Hancock doing a great job stepping out, really getting his full trunk into that throw, getting around Trent Dillon, and I really do think Trent Dillon was moving as he came in when Hancock made that throw.
Mason's had a couple nice plays, but also a couple of drops. That's the second one we've seen him just miss. It bounced out of his hands, but he also made that great catch between two Pitt defenders down in that same end zone. The disc has come back to Hancock here after the foul on the throw from Trent Dillon. back in. And a nice run through D from Christian Pitts. Jack Williams didn't attack the disc, he was flat-footed, and it made for an easy play, and Pittsburgh now has a great opportunity to tie the game with a short field. Kunza checks it in, maxed out on the mark. Trent Dillon gets the centering pass. Floats it out to Rainai Dropcho right on the sideline. Dished back to Dillon, to Rainai Dropcho. Handlers working well together. Rainai Dropcho floats one over the top to Sam Van Dusen. Van Dusen pushed out of bounds, but plays through it. Around to Dillon. Dillon dishes to Rainai Dropcho, and he goes into the end zone for the Pitt break. The huge spike. It's 6-6.
That's the type of offense we've come to expect from this Pittsburgh D-line, playing really playing small ball, willing to work it, throw some give and goes, and that's the first complete D-line possession we've seen from them.
And once again, Christian Pitts coming up with the D. He may have the best ability on this team to create turnovers. He may not be the best pure individual defender. I think that title might go to Trent Dillon, but he seems to come up with more blocks than just about anybody on the team and has really become an asset for this team, and often gets a little bit underbilled because of the big four players that we talk about on this Pitt team, but it's just as critical to the offense and when he crosses over to the defense.
His fitness level obviously very high, willing to go both ways, even here in the finals. And it'll be interesting to see how Coach Kazmarek uses him later on in the season. Will he play more D or continue to play both ways? Because I think you're right, he brings a lot of defensive intensity to this team that really hasn't been one that's created a lot of opportunities for themselves on the defensive end.
Here's the pull from Van Dusen. Very nice pull, floating down to right at the front of the goal line. That's why he's out there on the defensive line. He pulls almost every time for Pittsburgh. In a high stall situation, but a beautiful break throw from Hancock. Gets it to Jack Williams. And a call is gonna bring things back here. And a stall is called back at the spot of the foul, and the ruling from the observer is that it was not a stall. So this disc is going to stay with Williams.
Kind of a bailout throw there, but you know, UNC Wilmington's been kind of getting away with these consistently.
And at some point it becomes a feature, not a bug, I think. Maxstat steps into a big flick to the outside, and Williams goes up and he makes the play. 7-6 UNCW, and the Maxstat to Williams connection continues for this Cement team.
Maxstat's been able to hit that back right corner consistently with that flick huck. We've seen a few turnovers, but for the most part, he's converted on a really high percentage and really making a case and pushing himself into that player of the year conversation, especially on the offensive end.
And we'll see Wilmington takes a timeout here. 7-6 the score. We'll be back right after this timeout. Back to Myrtle Beach, where UNC Wilmington has a 7-6 lead over Pittsburgh here in the finals at Easterns 2015. If you're just joining us, I'm Charlie Eisenhood alongside Cody Johnston. Had a fantastic half of Ultimate, really a fantastic day of Ultimate here on Sunday in the championship bracket. Big pull coming up here from Xavier Maxted, and it's one of their patented rollers. Nice job by Pittsburgh to keep it from going out of bounds, and they get things moving right away. Tyler Akunsa centers to Earls. Earls, a sharp blade over to Christian Pitts, who dumps it off to Reyna Dropcho. Reyna Dropcho holding again. He goes with a high release flick to Trent Dillon. That's a beautiful throw. And Pitt with a quick hold out of the Wilmington timeout.
We were just wondering, would either of these teams try out a zone? There we see Wilmington coming out again in their 2-3-2 that they used against Oregon. And I think there you see why these teams haven't come out in zone. The pedigree of throwers. Earl's just able to throw that nice blade over the top of Pitts, getting 40 yards and really busting it wide open. And on the other side, Maxted and Hancock have been able to do pretty much the same thing.
And the wind just really not significant enough to really challenge these throwers. It's been a little bit gusty, but nothing more than 10 or 15 miles per hour, and at times it's been almost totally still. (7-7), and a huge point coming up here for both teams, as these are always the critical points. Can you win first point of the game, the point into half, and the point out of half? Always the ones to take a look at. And as you might expect, it's a stacked Pittsburgh defensive line. And the typical UNCW offensive line. And some kind of delay here, maybe a timeout taken. And indeed, Pittsburgh is going to take a timeout, not well signaled by the observers.
It sounded like maybe time was counting down and Pittsburgh would have given up either a warning or a yardage penalty. Tyler Akunsa smartly calling timeout, not wanting to risk that.
With 2 timeouts per half, not a lot of an issue to take that timeout there. As the first half set to wind down to a close here. So teams reset. Sam Van Dusen puts up big pull, comes down to Luke Hancock. Immediately into the hands of Maxted. And he's going to put up a big backhand looking for McGrain. McGrain has nobody on him, and it's an easy score for UNC Wilmington. Austin McGrain comes down with it, and he takes UNCW into halftime up 8-7 on number 1 ranked Pittsburgh.
Beautiful throw by Xavier Maxted, going down to win that inside-out backhand to space. Nobody within 10 yards of McGrain. Maxted's had 3 assists, Hancock with 2. Ward also getting involved, 1 goal, 1 assist. They've looked very balanced in this first half, especially considering how streaky they've been in the past.
And they just look like a different team than we saw in the semifinal in terms of their offensive efficiency and their focus. Looking so much better here, and they take a halftime lead. 8-7 UNCW over Pitt. We'll be back in 10 minutes for the start of the second half.
What does it mean to be powered by Savage? It means we become part of your team. From the moment you're paired with one of our sales reps who will guide you through the ordering process, to working with a designated member of our design team to bring your vision to life. Every step of the production process happens in-house, from printing your gear on our Green Line fabric made from 100% recycled plastic bottles, to cutting out every piece and carefully stitching it together by hand. Wherever you are, however you play, we've got your back. That's what it means to be powered by Savage.
Welcome back to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where UNC Wilmington has an 8-7 lead over Pittsburgh after the first half of play here in the finals of Easterns. I'm Charlie Eisenden alongside Cody Johnston, getting ready to bring you the second half. And it's really been a great game so far, Cody. UNC Wilmington playing with a little bit more energy and a little bit more focus than we've seen from them, and I think that's manifested largely on the offensive side.
It's surprising because their D-line has been so good all week and they haven't really been able to convert in this game. Only one break in the first half. And the offense playing much more consistently. We've seen Xavier Maxtat, Luke Hancock looking very engaged, been able to hit a lot of those breakthrows, ending half with that incredible inside-out backhand from Maxtat. They've looked great so far, and if they can continue at this level, Pittsburgh's going to have a tough time to force Ds.
Well, and on the Pittsburgh side, is this just a little bit of a sloppier Pittsburgh team, or is UNC Wilmington starting to really create some problems for their offense?
I think they're creating some problems for the offense, but also Pittsburgh's D-line efficiency hasn't been good. They had that one complete possession, but we haven't really seen them able to convert easily.
Pat Earls taking a shot here early in the second half. He's looking for Max Thorne, but didn't get quite enough underneath it. Max Thorne unable to catch up to that disc. So it will be Wilmington with an opportunity here. Charlie Leon bringing it to the cone. Jake Gallagher on the near side. Thinking about going deep, and then he throws it, and it's just knocked away by Pat Earls. Great quick hands from Earls, knocking it away, sending it out of bounds, and it's going to come back up here to near midfield.
Gallagher with a bit of tunnel vision. You saw him pointing to his cutters downfield to cut deep. I think Earl's reading that and just kind of standing straight up. Good anticipation from him, and his length to really get a hand on that.
Kunsa dishes it back to Reyna Dropcho. Goes right back to Kunsa. The handler's really working hard near the end zone today for Pittsburgh, and they go into the end zone to Max Thorne for the goal and the tie game at 8.
And Charlie, for Pittsburgh's D-line, I think they're really going to want to key in on these matchups. We saw Carl Morgenstern taking on Xavier Maxtat. That matchup really didn't work out. It'd be interesting to see maybe Christian Pitts coming over with his length on Maxtat. That could really limit his throws, despite him normally being a cutter defender.
Yeah, we haven't really seen many players able to do much against Maxtat at all in terms of limiting his throwing ability. But he also tends to get shorter players who are more suited to covering handlers as opposed to a longer, taller guy like Pitts. Sam Van Dusen getting set to pull here for Pittsburgh.
I think there you see the versatility of Maxtat with those smaller handler defenders. Even though he didn't catch that goal, willing to extend downfield and go deep.
Nine-8 advantage for Wilmington. Looking for their 30th straight win and their 4th straight tournament win.
This Wilmington team really putting together a complete regular season, which is something we haven't seen for them in the past. You know, last year they had kind of an up and down performance, and it wasn't really until regionals when they upset UNC in the finals of the Atlantic Coast region that we really kind of started to notice that.
That's right, and I think, you know, looking back in retrospect, I think we've underrated this team for 2 years in a row. Pat Earls throws it to the outside for Thorne, who goes right up the line to Reyna Dropcho. Wind picking up a bit. Tyler Kunsa, looking for Reyna Dropcho, and miscommunication there. Can't make the play. Charlie Leon looking to attack right away, but it's Deep shot not there, so now he goes to the sideline, and Wilkin Hanaway makes a nice catch to save possession for Wilmington. Hanaway comes back to the handler position, and then his throw to Gabe Fuller tips out of Fuller's hands, but now another throw from Pittsburgh, a little dicey. See the effect of the wind, but Joe Bender able to get in the end zone, and Saul Graves fires it in there quickly enough for Bender to be able to make the play, and Pittsburgh holds on offense.
A few miscues from both teams, but Wilmington not able to take advantage. And this Pittsburgh team is really a different team than we've seen over the last few years with the graduation of Alex Thorne, Tyler DiGirolamo. This is their first chance to win a title without them, and also to go for 3 titles in 4 years.
And you have to love the chances of this Pittsburgh team. Of course, #1 right now, and also set to probably come into next season as the favorite, no matter what happens this year, because they'll return almost everyone except Tyler Kunsa and Marcus Rainai-Dropcho. Max Thorne, Pat Earls, Trent Dillon, all planning to come back for 5th years with the team. And that could mean that this Pitt team has a chance to form a bit of a dynasty. They can come away with a title this year.
And the losses of Rainai-Dropcho and Kunsa will be felt, but at the same time, they have these younger players like Jonah Wish, like Sam Van Dusen, really kind of chomping at the bit, ready to make an impact on this team. You already see some, but I think all these guys, Saul Graves included, have big throws, and you'll see them step into bigger roles in the next few years.
On the other hand, this is really the time for UNC Wilmington. This is the season. They're going to lose their big handlers and a number of their top players after this season, and you have to wonder where they'll be without who dishes it into the end zone. Grayson Sander with the score for Wilmington, and it's 10-9 UNCW.
You see the trust that Maxted and Hancock have working together. Hancock with a really difficult inside-out backhand going up line. That was an incredible throw to put Xavier Maxted in power position, and then the explosiveness of Jack Williams making that incredible grab over the Pitt defender.
Few players can make that play. Just from a physical perspective, actually get up and make that play in that spot. And that's why Jack Williams has become a real name as a cutter, breaking through at Nationals last year as a player that you just have to keep an eye on. Wilmington sidelines getting fired up for this D point. Pat Earls catches the centering pass for Pittsburgh. He hits Thorne. Thorne, the deep shot. Rainai-Dropcho, all alone. 3 throws and Pittsburgh's into the end zone.
That's just too easy for Pitt. We've seen a few offensive possessions in a row where they've simply been able to come out in a side stack, Max Thorne initiating, and when they're able to just go one throw to Max Thorne, that opens up the field, and UNC Wilmington really needs to make an adjustment, maybe having last back, having that first stack defender poaching off in the lane, do something to kind of mess up this Pitt flow.
This is the problem that every team has faced up against this Pittsburgh team. It's extremely hard to stop that flow. They're very versatile, and they can play against the zone, and they can play against the junk, and they don't get frustrated. And that's why they've won so many games this year, and they've looked so good. And really, they get Max Thorne into those one-on-ones, and he's pretty much always going to find something out of it. His field IQ is too good, and he's happy to take the under and then beat you with the throw like he did just there. Thorne now with 3 goals and 2 assists in the game. leading point scorer for Pittsburgh. So we're still on serve here, each team with a break. Both came in the first half, nothing here in the second. And something eventually has got to give. As we see Hancock put up another laser backhand. This one, not a good look. Maybe got caught fixating a little bit on the deep shot there and threw into essentially triple coverage. And
nice handler defense there by Tyler Kunza on Xavier Maxtott, not letting him get the reset. And I think you're going to see UNC Wilmington setting one of their zones, forcing Pitt to work the full 70 against the wind and throw these tough crossfield hammers.
And a nice one, though, from Dillon. Gets it over to Thorne. Now to Kunza. Wilmington with tight defense back there, but Dillon finds a little hole. Dish back to Thorne. Thorne ahead to Rainai Dropcho. Kunza back with it. To the sideline and dropped by Sam Van Dusen, who tried to jump on making a routine catch, and it caused him to mess up the process of making the catch, and it's right back to Wilmington. And there's a call. Oh, no, there's not. That's just a great cut from Austin McGrain right to the cone, and Pittsburgh started walking back downfield before it had even been caught. So quick transition offense for UNCW, and they hold on offense.
Surprising, just straight up execution error there from Pitt on a simple routine catch. But one thing that is encouraging, you're starting to see their D-line offense look a little bit mature. They're not taking those 50-50 shots. They're content to work it, starting out in a tough position on coffin corner, going against the wind in the Wilmington zone, but really looking a little bit more composed than we've seen in the last few games.
So we're poised for another exciting finish here at Easterns. Bit of a different story this year than last, when Michigan came out of nowhere and surprised everyone to run away with it on Sunday. But this year it's been pretty much chalk all day on Sunday. No real surprise upsets. We've had some close games for sure, including this Wilmington team nearly losing to Georgia in the quarterfinals. But at the end of the day, when the dust settles, we've got the two best teams at the tournament playing here in the final. Looks like it's going to come right down to the wire. Offsides called against UNC Wilmington. So this is going to go back, and we'll have a repull.
We've seen a lot of what we expect from the top teams, but teams like Maryland, Harvard coming in, these bubble teams have had big weekends and really put them in a position, along with Georgia, to make serious runs in the series.
Absolutely, and you have to wonder, haven't really had a chance to look at how Maryland did today, but the way they played yesterday, they could potentially sniff a third bid for the Atlantic Coast. And Harvard now has to feel pretty good about their position as they head into the series, with a chance to take likely the single bid out of the New England region. Christian Pitts bumped by Charlie Leon, and a foul is called.
In that side stack, Cale Ward taking the Max Thorne matchup, he was able to shut down that first cut and force Pitt to do just something else.
Pitts gets it back to Earls. He hits Kunza. Kunza inside to Graves. Graves, backhand around. Earls into the end zone on the strike cut. And little resistance there from UNCW as Pittsburgh marches right up the field.
we've seen a lot of the top teams, Charlie, but we also haven't seen teams like Washington, Colorado, or Texas A&M. Where do you see those teams stacking up against the competition we've seen here today?
Boy, it's a tough question, honestly. I think all three of those teams, very good. But I don't know that I would put any of them in this tier with the top three. I think, Texas A&M right now, after their win over UNC and a loss to UNCW in the finals at Centex, certainly a team that you can see making semifinals. And I think if things break right, they could even make the finals. I mean, it's a possibility. I don't think it's out of the question. But at the same time, their sort of high-risk, high-reward style of play is maybe not what you generally see working at nationals. Oftentimes it comes down to how good's your defense and how efficient are you on offense. And there's certainly, you wouldn't describe them as extremely efficient on offense. But Washington also a team that's getting the most out of their players. I think all those teams have a chance to make a run. Will they make it to the semis and beyond? I think it's a bit of a stretch. But outside of these big three here at this tournament, Pitt, UNCW, and Oregon, I think that last spot in semis is up for grabs. UNCW back to work on offense here. McGrain gets it ahead to Hancock. Hancock looking a little bit more patient, looking to the dump now. And I think may have even just taken a timeout. So UNCW would take a quick timeout, and we'll be right back for the exciting conclusion to this game here at Easterns. UNC Wilmington coming out of a timeout. Score tied at 11 here in the Easterns final. And a shot into the end zone here is brought down by Austin McGrain, who's having himself a great game. Super consistent out there as a cutter for UNCW. And Wilmington back out in front, 12-11.
Out of that timeout, we saw Trent Dillon taking the Jack Williams matchup, and Williams really just able to burn him to the far side. That was really surprising to see. Kind of maybe a mental mistake from Trent Dillon this late in the game.
So very tight game. We're still on serve after a break for each team. But at this point, that doesn't matter. Pittsburgh's going to need a break to win.
Wilmington maybe picking this point to load up. We see Maxstat, Cale Ward, some of these other players coming over, sensing this is a prime time to break.
Xavier Maxstat with the disc for Wilmington, getting ready to pull. There's the pull. This is going to trail out of bounds. Pat Earl's gonna bring it to the brick mark for Pittsburgh. Side stack from Pitt here. Love to open up space with this side stack, creating room often for Max Thorne to get open. Thorne going deep here. Earls with the lefty flick. Perfect. One throw into the end zone. Pittsburgh getting it done on offense. And they'll get their defense right back out there.
That's Max Thorne's 4th goal of the game. You see them coming out in the side stack. No hesitation from Earls, using that lefty flick. Cale Jones, was on the fore side of his guy. That's good defense, but Pittsburgh thrower is just too good.
Sam Van Dusen out there getting ready to pull again for Pittsburgh, and we'll see what they do on this defensive line. Just a few points left in the game. 15 minutes from the soft cap. So unlikely to play much of a role in this game.
Pittsburgh choosing to go relatively all man, pretty vanilla the whole game. They haven't thrown any zones or any junk looks. I think that's really the heart of this Pittsburgh D-line. You're not going to see that many zones, especially at this point in the game, but maybe later on, that's not something we want to show so early.
Hancock swings to Cale Ward on the sideline. Ward back to Hancock. Hancock gets it to McGrain, who makes a nice sliding catch. Throw looked a little bit dangerous. Now Maxtat taking a shot deep to Williams. Kunsa in the coverage. Williams goes up, can't make the play. Great defense down there from Tyler Kunsa. And it's going to be an opportunity for Pittsburgh to get a break here. Kunsa walks it to the line. Dishes it off to Jonah Wish. Wish hits Rainai Dropcho. Back to Wish on the strike cut. Thought about going deep to Dillon, looked it off. Earls to Wish. Across to Kunsa. Oh, a push pass, and Pat Earls somehow comes up with the catch. Oh, and it's taken away as Pat Earls just throws it right into the defense. Jack Williams there to easily intercept it, and now a shot down the field, and it's into the end zone. Wilmington scores. Kevin Mateer, again, getting loose deep. That's his second or third score of this game.
Pittsburgh D-line looking like it's doing everything right. They were able to hit a few undercuts, playing patient. They swing it to the middle of the field. Kunsa with that cheeky push pass, but then just great D from Jack Williams, and Wilmington immediately taking advantage. Mateer, just as a freshman, having a great early start to his career.
Another one of the YCC standouts from the Triangle area. And it's strange to me, you watch Pat Earls play offense, so poised, rarely makes mistakes. And then you see him throw that turnover, he's playing on the defense. Is it a mentality thing that's causing these problems for these players that harp when they're on O?
It could be fatigue at this point of the game. Seventh game, all games to 15. Those points start to add up both mentally and physically. But yeah, it's not really clear yet, and I don't think Pittsburgh's figured it out either.
Max Thorne takes a shot deep, he's got Rainai Dropcho, and once again, it's the easiest possible point for the Pittsburgh offensive line. And it's just putting a lot of pressure on the Wilmington offense to succeed. And it's so funny because the formula's been completely flipped for Wilmington. It's been their offense that's held them up this game by playing so consistently after the last couple of games where they needed their defense to get 6-7 breaks in order to get them a victory.
And for Pittsburgh, that's the second time we've seen that Thorne to Rainai Dropcho going downfield this half. And that was something we saw a lot last year at Easterns. Rainai Dropcho not really playing a cutter role, a handler role, going downfield. And he's a big guy. He's around 6'3". I like this move. We haven't seen this at all.
Yeah, there hasn't been much Rainai Dropcho on offense. Clearly making it. Now it's Pitt's got to dig deep here. At 13. UNC Wilmington looking to stay hot on offense. Hancock catches the centering pass. Comes to Ward on the sideline. Hancock takes a shot, looking for Maxstad. It tips up into the air, and it tips again off of the fingertips of Kevin Mateer. So a risky shot from Hancock out to the sideline turns into a turnover, and giving Pittsburgh another opportunity to try to work it up the field here. Beautiful throw from Thorne there up ahead. Now to Pitts on the sideline. He looks for Earls, and Earls can't bring it down. Maxstad picks it up and rips it deep, looking for McGrain to the back of the end zone, and it's going to fly out of bounds. Pitts in the coverage there.
And that's just the style of Wilmington. I think Coach Greg Vassar's given Maxstad the green light to throw those types of throws, and so far Pittsburgh hasn't been able to work the full 70 on their D-line offense.
Beautiful interception from UNC Wilmington. Again, Jack Williams getting in the way of the Pitt throw, and it comes to Cale Ward for the score. 14-13 Wilmington.
Pittsburgh's D-line there with 2 chances, but Jack Williams, great heads-up play, poaching off his man, coming in and getting that poach block in the middle of the field. This UNC Wilmington plays with a lot of heart and a lot of energy. You see them still making these great hustle plays so late in the day.
Jack Williams has had as much of an impact on defense as he had on offense today. 2 huge blocks, helping get the disc back for the offense after a turnover. And it's going to be a chance now for UNC Wilmington to win this game right here on defense.
Neither team, I don't think, has played as well as they would like, but overall I think Wilmington's looked better, and this is the first time we've really seen Pitt look vulnerable.
Almost all season. Really, Pittsburgh has been in control. If you discount the results from the Carolina kickoff, they have been in control at every tournament they've played at. They had moments of spotting them up, but otherwise looked very good, especially late in that tournament. They were dominant at the Stanford Invite. They've mostly dominated on their way to this game as Max Thorne catches it and then bounces it back to Earls in the center. Earls taking a shot, looking for Thorne deep. Thorne holds off Cale Ward for the score, and Max Thorne just continues to get it done for the Pittsburgh offense. Makes it 14-14. And if you were wondering who #1 player on this Pitt team is, I don't think you have to wonder much anymore. Max Thorne has taken over. When you look at the stats, he's got 5 goals in this game, 3 assists, had similar numbers in the semifinal. Just outstanding speed. His breakthrows, while less obvious in this game, were just spectacular in the semifinal. He's just been doing it all for this Pittsburgh offense.
And he's also really developed into a better defender. We've seen him coming in, making some great run-through blocks, as well as making some deep plays in the air. So I think he's really becoming a complete player since, kind of always been in the shadow of his brother Alex Thorne. He's kind of always been Alex Thorne's little brother, but really carved out his own role and identity for this Pittsburgh team.
(14-14). Pat Earls getting set to pull for Pittsburgh. Pull to just in front of the brick mark. Hancock picks up for UNCW. Under from McGrain. Dishes to Maxtat. And a call. Check back in by Maxtat. Maxtat, big around, finds Williams. Tight dump defense from Pittsburgh. Stahl getting up there. Williams has to put it deep. Kutza and Maxtat battling, and Maxtat takes the bump and holds his ground to make the play. Xavier Maxtat makes it a 15-14 Wilmington lead.
The stars really shining through. Maxtat and Williams for Wilmington, Earls, Rene Dropcho, and Thorne for Pitt. This has been such an exciting game to watch, Charlie. I'm not sure we've seen a game this good all season.
Absolutely one of the best we've seen all season. And what a job by Maxtat there, bodying out Kunsa, giving himself a little bit of room to go up with his left and make the catch. Still 3 minutes out from the cap. So this game is going to be hard capped at 17. So either it's win by 2 or first to 17.
We see the resilience of this Wilmington team. At points in that Oregon game, they looked lethargic, and they've come out here. You know, Pittsburgh had a 2-hour bye. They've come out here, and they really look like the more refreshed, energized team.
Pretty much all game long. But the Pitt offense has really stepped up in the second half, helped their defense stay on the field. But you hear that sideline energy. Rolling pull, goes out of bounds. This is a Wilmington strategy to try to give some trouble to the offensive production of the opposition. Earls checks it in on the sideline, dumps it back to Rena Dropcho. Dish to Kunsa, back to Rena Dropcho. To Earls. Rena Dropcho swings to the sideline for Thorne. Thorne with the inside flick. It's going to be contested. Xavier Maxtat with a massive layout D. He picks it up, rips the flick, and it's taken away by Rene Dropcho. Oh man. What a play, but then gives it right back. So Pittsburgh back to work. Still the same zone. Big blade across the field from Earls. What a shot from him. Pitts and Bender going 1-2 on this far sideline. Now Earls. Earls finds Rene Dropcho. Not quite into the end zone, but now he throws the scuba, and it's caught by Pitts for the Pittsburgh goal. 15-15, and what a play, but then conservation of greatness, as it's dubbed in Ultimate, gives it right back. Maybe a little overamped after standing up. But the thing about Maxtat, he'll make that throw and connect with it more than half the time.
Insane layout D from him, coming in from the deep position, catching a flat-footed Pitt receiver. And you're right, maybe getting up a little bit too excited, but that's the way this Wilmington team plays, and it's fun to watch.
Pittsburgh dodges the bullet, ties the game at 15. horn for the soft cap. Pittsburgh getting set. And the pull is up. Shorter pull. Hancock to receive the centering pass here from Ward. Goes back to Ward on the outside. Good reset coverage. Ward's gonna have to step up and throw a huge flick, looking for Maxtat. Can Maxtat get there? No. So that Pittsburgh dump defense again forcing a turnover. But they just haven't been able to turn any of these turnovers into points.
Great face guarding defense from Jonah Wish, forcing the pass to go somewhere else. He was on Luke Hancock, and that's what forced that Cale Ward hug.
Earls hits Thorne here on the near side. Double covered deep. Now Thorne trying to go deep. This is going to hang up and be anyone's disc. And it's Christian Pitts going up and making the play in a pile up. And a timeout by Tyler Kuntza. That's a huge play from Christian Pitts, and has any player been more clutch than him today?
He's done it all for them. You know, he's thrown goals. He's caught incredible deep passes from Max Thorne. He's gotten the D's back for the Pittsburgh O-line. He's really stepping up, and it's easy to talk about the top four, but again, Pitt's coming up huge for this Pitt team.
So an amazing opportunity here for Pittsburgh to take their first lead in a great while. UNC Wilmington going to on defense here, try to find some of that magic that they've had all day and all weekend.
And then the nature of those plays, they live or die by those plays, Charlie. Those are lower percentage looks, and with teams like Pittsburgh or Wisconsin or Carleton who are more systematic, Wilmington has to be okay with some misses. And that one, you know, coming at a big time, but you kind of expect that when they make so many of them too.
Kuntza standing over the disc.
Cale Ward matched up on Max Thorne at the front of the stack, isolated in space.
Matt Mason on the mark here against Kuntza. Reyna Dropcho totally unmarked. A little switching here from Wilmington. Now a shot into the end zone, goes too long. Can Wish get there? He catches it. Is he inbounds? Yes, he is. Jonah Wish with a layout at the back of the end zone to give Pittsburgh the lead.
Incredibly heads-up play there from Jonah Wish. Thorne really tried to laser that throw into the end zone, overthrew paddle rolls going up line. Wish, great grab in the back to make it 16-15 Pittsburgh.
And that is the break that Pittsburgh has been looking for all game. The first break here of the second half. You almost wonder, is this going to play out almost as a reverse of last year's quarterfinal game at Nationals? Just a pivotal break there for Pittsburgh. Now they control their own destiny on offense.
So Christian was like basically laying out a mouth.
If Pittsburgh scores here, the game is over. If UNC Wilmington scores, we go to double game point. Pittsburgh coach Nick Kasmerick excited on the sideline, running back and forth. Pull comes down. Hancock picks up and gets it to Maxtat. Maxtat, tough throw, finds Cale Ward. Just to the sideline now, back to Ward. Ward floats it ahead to Williams. And a call Gonna stop play.
Looks like maybe Tyler Kunze saying he had Maxtat threw an elbow or pushed off. We saw him with a few steps going deep. Mitch Dangler stepping in to make the call.
And the disc is going to go back to Ward on the offensive foul. Ward checks it back into play. Dillon on the mark. Dishes to Williams. Now up the sideline to Maxtat. Maxtat ahead to Mason. Tough dump defense again from Pitt. Williams holding, dishing to Mason. And Mason pivots into Pitts and he goes down hard. I have to say, it looked a little bit like a flop. Definitely some contact, but maybe a little bit of a sell job here in front of the observers. But contested foul. I believe the stall come on 4. Mason taps it in, dump back to Hancock. Wilmington really been stuck on the sideline. Hancock's going to put up a big hammer. Williams catches it, gets bumped hard by Raynard Dropcho, but stays with it, and he gets it into the end zone. Wilmington defense fired up. Pitt offense huddled up, you can see. Talking it out. Getting ready for this final point.
Charlie, whoever takes this game will certainly have the edge going into nationals. Both these teams clearly going to make nationals, but a win here would really cement them as obviously the top team, but also give them a slight.
Earls holding, dishes to Dillon, to Earls, up ahead to Pitts, just outside the end zone, dished back to Earls. Pittsburgh looking to win their 4th straight tournament. Raynard Dropcho in the center, back to Earls. Earls looking for Gorn for the win!
Yeah, go Pitt!
Pittsburgh, 17-16 victory over UNC Wilmington here in the Easterns final.
Amazing game, and both teams coming away. You know, Pittsburgh looking a little bit vulnerable. Wilmington on the other side, their offense really cleaned things up. We saw really complete, although Pittsburgh squeaked out the win, we saw really complete games from both these teams, clearly playing at a very high level.
And this game really could have gone either way. You just can't ask for a better game. A spectacular finish here. We're going to stay on, do a little bit of post-game here, hopefully grab one of the Pittsburgh captains for an interview. Players shaking hands right now. And just an intense competition and a great matchup between these two teams. And I think when you look ahead to nationals, Cody, it's hard to see really any teams other than these two and maybe Oregon as teams that are, at least right now, in the conversation for reaching the finals. I mean, there's clearly a step above here, and I think it's taken time for that to develop over the course of the season and for us to figure that out. But I think they cemented that this weekend. Not that either team is invulnerable by any means, but it would not be a surprise to see these teams meet in the finals in Cincinnati.
These 3 teams clearly a cut above the rest, but there's also a lot of really exciting teams right below them. Florida State, Texas A&M, Wisconsin with a solid weekend as well. You know, yes, these teams are at the top, but in a one-game scenario, I think we could see, you know, one of these low-ranked teams as well maybe upset them.
So we're going to go grab a Pitt player after they run their customary victory sprints after the tournament here. As you see them sprinting across the line, this is Sunday tradition for Pittsburgh.
And another one. Breathe, boys. Remember this feeling. This is what's gonna push us through the next 2 months. First 6, go!
Pat Earl's talking to his teammates.
Yes, boys!
And Charlie, I think the scary thing is we haven't seen either of these teams, yes, incredibly exciting game, but play at the top of their game. You know, both teams left chances on the table. These teams will be even better come May.
Absolutely. I think we're going to see both teams continue to improve. They both have things to work on. I think that's what's notable, but we're still quite a distance from nationals. You know, talk about the postseason. It's a long time in Ultimate, and there's a lot of time to practice just as much as there is time to actually play. So we're getting there. We're now about to speak.
He's got to catch his breath.
With Max Thorne, and that's all right. He's Max Thorne coming off of these sprints, so we're going to give him a moment to take a deep breath. And Cody, really, when you think about the way this national is shaping up, it's going to be a fantastic tournament. So we're going to get the mic on here for Max. Let's get this switched on here. All right, Max, let's see if we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we sure can.
Awesome.
Congratulations on a fantastic win here and an amazing game against UNC Wilmington. How are you feeling right now?
Incredible. Yeah, this is just our weekend. This weekend was all about just love of the game, enjoying our teammates, and that's what we did. The last point before we were huddling, talking about what we love about Ultimate, and just we're so pumped up, and that just got us there, got us in the right mindset, and we were just ready for everything.
You guys have rolled through this regular season. You won the Stanford Invite. Now you won here at Easterns. How are you feeling? Obviously, you're going to be the #1 seed when you go to nationals. Excited about your chances going forward towards the national championship?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the regular season doesn't matter anymore. We just have to solely focus on sectionals, regionals, and nationals. So that's our sole focus. Just building up our brotherhood, getting the right mindset, getting our bodies ready.
You finished with 5 goals and 3 assists in this game. You've had an impact throughout the day. We saw you had an even more statistically impressive performance in the semifinals. How have you been able to continue to be so effective when there's a lot of film on you dominating out of the pull play?
It's just a team game. You know, I have incredible teammates supporting me, and just incredible throwers. And granted, you know, I'm making plays out there, but they're giving me just huge advantages to be making these plays, and I just have to thank them for it completely.
It took you guys a really long time to fight back into this game. You had to get that break. You finally got it. How were you able to get over the hump and finally get the break?
It was just our D-line's offensive mentality was really struggling. Yeah, we were just having issues with the wind and having issues with just everything offensively. We just ratcheted it down, got in the right mindset, and just everything clicked from there.
All right, thanks so much for your time. Your team's looking to take a picture with you, so you better get over there.
Awesome. Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks, Max. All right, that was Max Thorne, captain of the winning Pittsburgh team here at Easterns. And that's going to do it for our coverage here. It's been a blast this weekend. Hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. Final score here in Myrtle Beach, Pittsburgh 17, UNC Wilmington 16. Signing off for Cody Johnson, all of us here at UltiWorld, our reporting team, Jesse Goldstein, our fantastic videographer. I'm Charlie Eisenhood, and we'll see you very soon Lots of recaps to come from this tournament, and we're heading into the postseason, folks, so let's get ready.
This game is brought to you by Spin Ultimate, proud to sponsor Ultiworld's 2020 college coverage. Visit Spin Ultimate on the web at spinultimate.com.
Every time we touch the license, we play better. Let's go, take down the field.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Fruit Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.